My own son sent me to prison for a crime he carefully staged. He believed 2 years behind bars would erase me completely. But the day I walked out, I made one quiet phone call, and everything he built began to collapse. Before I go any further, let me ask you something. If stories like this matter to you, please subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. Every word I share comes from years of silence and patience, and knowing you're here, listening, truly means more than I can say. I used to wake up before the sun, not because I had to, but because I liked the quiet. The house felt honest at that hour. No phones buzzing, no voices asking for something. Just the low hum of the refrigerator and the floorboards warming beneath my feet. I made coffee the same way every morning. 2 scoops, no sugar, a small splash of milk. My wife used to tease me for measuring it by feel. She's been gone 5 years now. Some mornings I still reach for a second mug. Old habits don't disappear. They just hesitate. My name is Harrison Cole. I'm 72 years old, and for most of my life, I believed I'd done one thing right. I built my family carefully. The company came later. People like to reverse that story, but that's never been true. I didn't build a business first. I built my children first. Ethan was the oldest. Sharp mind, fast talker, always leaning forward. Even as a boy, he wanted the next thing before finishing what was in his hands. Claire was different, quiet, observant. She listened the way most people pretend to. When she spoke, you leaned in. Dinner used to be sacred in our house. 6 o'clock, no phones, no excuses. My wife insisted on that rule, and I enforced it no matter how big the deal I'd just closed. I remember Ethan at 16, sleeves rolled up, arguing with me about expansion. "Dad, we're thinking too small," he said, fork stabbing into his plate like punctuation. Claire didn't argue. She just watched, stored everything away. Back then I was proud of both of them, proud in different ways. The company grew slowly, steady, clean, no shortcuts. I missed birthdays. I missed school plays. But I never missed a promise. When my wife got sick, everything else stopped. Board meetings, travel, deals, none of it mattered. I slept in a chair beside her hospital bed. Learned how to braid her hair again when her hands grew too weak. That year cost the company millions. I didn't care. After she passed, something shifted. Not suddenly, just gradually. Ethan stepped in more, handled meetings, signed off on things. "Let me take this, Dad," he'd say, and I let him. That's the part people don't understand. Betrayal doesn't start with shouting. It starts with trust. I still walk the factory floor every Tuesday. Still signed checks myself. Still believed my son was learning, not planning. The first time I felt it, that small cold unease, was a Tuesday afternoon. I was reviewing quarterly reports. My reading glasses slid down my nose. I adjusted them and frowned. The numbers didn't match. Not dramatically, just enough to bother a man who built something from nothing. I called Ethan into my office. He stood where he always had, hands in pockets, eyes restless. "Explain this," I said, tapping the page. He smiled. That same easy smile. "Timing issue," he said. "Different accounting bucket." I nodded, but I circled the number anyway. Vanessa entered our lives not long after. Polished, confident, always composed. She laughed easily and listened selectively. Claire didn't like her. She never said it out loud. She didn't have to. At Sunday dinners, Vanessa spoke about things she wanted. Trips, renovations, modernizing the house. Ethan nodded along. Claire barely touched her food. I told myself it was adjustment. Marriage changes families. I wanted to believe that. A month later, another number didn't add up. Then another. I told myself I was tired. That grief makes a man suspicious. But grief doesn't invent missing money. I started keeping a small notebook in my desk drawer. Nothing dramatic. Just dates. Amounts. Questions. One afternoon, I came home early. The house felt wrong. Vanessa's laughter drifted from upstairs. Ethan's voice followed. I stood at the bottom of the stairs longer than I should have. Listening. Not to words. To tone. Something sharp lived there. I left without being seen. That night, sleep wouldn't come. The ceiling fan clicked with every rotation. I counted them like seconds. I didn't confront Ethan right away. I wanted certainty. I wanted proof. Because accusing your own son, that's not something you do lightly. I told myself I'd handle it quietly. Like a father. Like a man. I didn't know then that the moment I chose silence, someone else had already chosen something far worse. I didn't know it yet. But the peace I lived in, those quiet mornings, that careful trust, was already gone. And it was never coming back. I didn't know it then. But that silence was the last real peace I'd feel for a very long time. I confronted Ethan on a Thursday. I remember because I wore my old gray jacket. The one with the loose button I never fixed. His mother used to scold me about it. He was in his office. Glass walls. Clean desk. Too clean. He looked up and smiled when I walked in. That smile again. Easy. Polished. "Dad," he said. "Everything okay?" I didn't sit. I placed the notebook on his desk. Didn't slide it. Didn't slam it. Just set it down. "What's this?" he asked. "Open it." He did. Slowly. His eyes moved. Paused. Moved again. "That's not what you think," he said quickly. I watched his hands. They were steady. Too steady. "Then tell me what it is," I said. He leaned back. Crossed his arms. "You're tired," he said softly. "Grief does things to people." That word, grief, it landed heavier than any insult. "I know what missing money looks like," I said. "I built this company with my hands." He sighed, stood up, walked around the desk like a counselor preparing bad news. "Dad, let me handle this," he said. "You've earned rest." Rest. Like I was already gone. Vanessa appeared in the doorway then, barefoot, one hand on the frame. "What's going on?" she asked sweetly. Ethan didn't answer. He just glanced at her. She stepped closer, too close. "You've been stressed," she said to me. "We worry about you." Worry. I picked up my notebook, slid it back into my jacket pocket. "I'll review everything myself," I said. "And then we'll talk again." Ethan's smile thinned. Just for a moment. That night I drove without a destination, past streets I'd funded, buildings I'd named. The city looked back at me unfamiliar. 2 days later it happened. Vanessa fell. That's how they told it. I was at home, fixing a hinge on the back door. My phone rang. Ethan's name flashed. "Dad," he said, breathless. "There's been an accident." Hospital lights, sirens, white walls. Vanessa lay in a bed wrapped in machines, her face pale, eyes closed. Ethan stood beside her, hands shaking. "She fell," he said, "after you left." I frowned. "I wasn't here." He swallowed. "You came back. You were angry." I looked at him. Really looked. The doctor spoke in careful phrases. Loss. Trauma. Investigation. The room shrank with every word. Police arrived. Questions followed. Had I argued with her? Had I threatened her? I answered calmly, truthfully. Then Ethan spoke. His voice cracked at the right moments. Tears appeared on cue. "My father pushed her," he said. "He lost control." I laughed. A short, sharp sound, unplanned. Ethan flinched. That laugh, they used it later. The security footage didn't help. A malfunction, they said. All it showed was me standing at the top of the stairs. Jaw tight, face set. No fall. No proof. Just implication. I sat in an interrogation room for hours. The air smelled like burnt coffee. When they brought Ethan in to identify me, he didn't look at me. Not once. Vanessa cried from a wheelchair, clutched her stomach, said my name like poison. I searched for Claire. She stood behind them. Her face was blank. I tried to catch her eye. For anything. She didn't meet my gaze. That hurt more than the cuffs. The trial moved fast. Too fast. My accounts were frozen for safety. My lawyer quit after one meeting. A public defender replaced him. Young. Overworked. He advised a plea. I refused. Ethan testified. Again. Every lie polished. Every pause practiced. When the verdict came, I didn't react. I just felt hollow. They took my belt. My watch. I folded my jacket before handing it over. That loose button caught my eye. Funny what stays with you. The cell door closed with a sound I'll never forget. Heavy. Final. That first night, I lay on a thin mattress, staring at a ceiling stained with old leaks. I pressed my thumb into my palm just to feel something solid. I thought of my wife, of Sunday dinners, of the way Claire used to smile across the table. And I understood something then. This wasn't panic. It wasn't confusion. It was a decision. Halfway through my sentence, the worst part revealed itself. Claire stopped visiting. No calls, no letters, just silence. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was realizing my son hadn't just taken my company. He'd taken my name, my dignity, my place in the world, and he'd done it calmly, methodically, like a man who never believed I'd survive long enough to speak again. I didn't cry that night. I didn't rage. I sat on the edge of my cot and felt something inside me grow very still, very quiet. That's when I knew I would not stay silent. Prison teaches you the weight of quiet, not the peaceful kind, the kind that settles on your chest at night and doesn't move until morning. Days blurred together, measured not by calendars but by routines. Wake up, stand for count, eat what they called breakfast. I learned to move slowly. Old bones complain when rushed, and rushing only attracts attention. Most men ignored me. A few watched at first. The old man with posture, one joked. Eventually, I became invisible. That surprised me. I used to be a man people waited for. Now guards told me when to sit, when to eat, when to sleep. I folded my clothes carefully each night. Habit. Control, wherever I could find it. Some men carved tallies into walls. Others slept through everything. I replayed moments instead. The notebook on Ethan's desk. His smile. Vanessa's voice. I wondered where I'd gone wrong. Had I been too generous? Too trusting? Some nights I pressed my ear to the wall. Listened to voices echo down the block. Tried to remember what belonging felt like. I wrote letters I never sent. To Ethan. To Claire. I tore them up afterward. The words felt weak once written. The guards didn't mistreat me. They didn't need to. Time did the work for them. My cellmate, Arthur, snored like a freight train. Same rhythm. Every night. I hated him for it at first. Then, I was grateful. The noise reminded me I was still alive. One afternoon, weeks after Claire stopped visiting, a letter arrived. My hands shook opening it. Not from her. From the company. Formal language. Board updates. Leadership changes. Ethan's signature at the bottom. He'd removed my name from the lobby wall. Rebranded the foundation. My wife's scholarship fund. Restructured. I stared at the page for a long time. Then I folded it. Carefully. And placed it beneath my mattress. I didn't tear it. Anger came later. First came grief. I remembered teaching Ethan how to tie a tie. My hands guiding his. Patient. Proud. I remembered Claire sitting beside my desk, pretending to read reports, asking quiet, intelligent questions. I wondered where she was now. What she believed. Did she think I was guilty? Or worse, inconvenient? I began walking the yard every morning. Slow laps, same pace. Each step deliberate. I noticed small things. A crack in the concrete near the fence. A bird landing on the wire each afternoon. I counted my breaths. Inhale. Exhale. One night, during lockdown, the power flickered. Darkness swallowed the block. Someone shouted. Someone laughed. I sat on my bunk and closed my eyes. For the first time since sentencing, I stopped asking why. Instead, I asked how. How had Ethan moved so fast? How had everything aligned so neatly? That question stayed with me. I began thinking carefully. Not obsessively. Carefully. I requested law books. Old ones. I read about trusts, powers of attorney, audits. I didn't rush. Patience came easier now. Months passed. My reflection in the metal mirror changed. Less softness. More lines. But my eyes were clearer. Then a letter arrived. Plain envelope. No return address. Inside, a single sentence, hold steady. Nothing more. I stared at it longer than I should have. A week later, another envelope. Documents this time. Financial summaries. Redacted names. Proof. My heart didn't race. It slowed. Someone was watching. Someone close. I folded the papers carefully. Placed them where guards wouldn't look. I didn't smile. But for the first time in months, I slept without dreaming. The day I learned my release date, I stood in the shower longer than allowed. Let the water hit my shoulders. Listened to it echo off tile. 2 years. I pressed my forehead against the wall. When I returned to my cell, Arthur looked at me. "You look lighter," he said. "I am," I replied. That night I whispered names again. Not in disbelief this time. In resolve. Ethan. Vanessa. Claire. I didn't yet know which side she stood on. But I knew one thing. Whatever waited outside those walls, I would meet it standing. And for the first time since the door closed behind me, I felt something solid beneath the grief. A plan. Still unshaped, still quiet, but growing. Some nights I caught myself whispering their names, not in anger, but in disbelief. And in that quiet I began to think very carefully. I walked out of prison with nothing in my hands. No wallet. No watch. Just 2 years of weight on my shoulders. The air felt unfamiliar. Too open. Too bright. I didn't rush. That became my first rule. No rushing. Not ever again. A black sedan waited at the curb. Nothing flashy. Nothing that announced power. Just quiet. The driver didn't say my name. He didn't need to. We drove across the city in silence. I watched buildings slide past the window. Some I'd financed. Some I'd named. I didn't feel anger. I felt focused. The apartment was modest. Clean. Neutral. A place meant for thinking, not impressing. A table. A lamp. A single chair by the window. That night I wrote one sentence on a yellow legal pad. Silence builds leverage. I underlined it once, then set the pen down. I slept deeply. The kind of sleep that doesn't argue. The phone rang the next morning. A calm voice. Measured. Professional. "Mr. Cole, you don't know me, but I know your case." I listened. He didn't flatter me, didn't apologize. He spoke in facts, audits, filings, timelines that didn't lie. When he finished, I said only one thing. "Come see me." He arrived that afternoon. Late 30s, sharp eyes. No wasted movement. We shook hands once. "You were framed," he said. "No question." "I know," I replied. "What do you want?" I thought about that longer than he expected. "I want my name back," I said quietly. "Everything else can follow." He nodded. That's when the planning truly began. We moved slowly, deliberately. First, my legal footing was restored. Quiet filings. Nothing public. Authorities notified. Powers revoked. Ethan wouldn't feel it yet. That was intentional. Next came the money. Not to spend, to freeze. Accounts don't scream when they're locked. They whisper. I read every document myself, every clause, every condition. Coffee went cold beside stacks of paper. I didn't notice. Each night I walked the same block, same pace, same measured steps. I kept my body steady, my mind sharper. Then the envelopes returned. Same handwriting, same restraint. Emails. Transfers. Dates aligned too perfectly. Someone inside. I didn't ask who. I already suspected. Claire. The thought settled heavy in my chest. Uncomfortable. Complicated. If I was wrong, I would lose her forever. If I was right, she'd carried a burden no child should. I didn't confront her. That was another rule. Truth reveals itself when pressure builds naturally. I remembered the phrase people would later repeat. My son framed me, so I took back everything without raising my voice. It wasn't revenge. It was correction. Timing mattered. Ethan was expanding, signing deals, standing taller than ever. Men like him overextend when they believe they've already won. So we waited. The day the board meeting was scheduled, I signed the final document. No ceremony, just ink on paper. The attorney looked up. "You're certain?" I nodded. That night I stood by the window, city lights blinking without concern. I didn't imagine Ethan's face, didn't rehearse words. I folded the legal pad, placed it in a drawer. The stage was set. All I had to do was wait. The first sign came quietly. A declined card. Not mine. His. I wasn't there to see it. I didn't need to be. The lawyer called instead. "It started," he said. I thanked him, hung up. No smile, no rush. That morning I buttoned my shirt slowly. Missed the third button. Unbuttoned it. Started again. The mirror showed an older man. But straighter now, more settled. The boardroom smelled the same as it always had. Polished wood. Coffee gone bitter. 8 chairs. All filled. They looked at me differently. Not with pity. With recognition. I took my seat at the head of the table. Didn't speak yet. The attorney connected his laptop. The screen lit the room. Numbers spoke first. They always do. Transfers. Shell accounts. Dates lined up too neatly to dismiss. No shouting. Just murmurs. Someone cleared their throat. Another leaned back, arms folded. Then the door opened. Ethan walked in late. Confident stride. Phone still in his hand. He stopped when he saw me. "Dad?" he said, smiling too fast. "What's going on?" I didn't answer. The attorney did. "Mr. Cole's authority has been reinstated," he said calmly. "Effective immediately." Ethan laughed. Short. Sharp. "That's not possible." I finally met his eyes. "It already happened," I said. The room shifted. The evidence continued. Invoices. False vendors. A board member asked who owned one of the companies. The answer came without emotion. "Your wife." Silence. Ethan's smile collapsed. "This is a misunderstanding," he said. "I can explain." No one asked him to. The vote was called. One by one, hands rose. Unanimous. Ethan sank into a chair. Not dramatically. Just empty. Security appeared at the door. Polite. Firm. "Mr. Cole," one said. "This way, please." Ethan looked at me then. Really looked. "You planned this," he whispered. I nodded once. "Yes," I said. "I did." He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. He knew. The press conference came later. Cameras. Questions layered over each other. I spoke slowly, carefully. I didn't insult, didn't accuse loudly. I stated facts. Wrongful conviction. Restored authority. Ongoing investigations. I never said my son's name. They said it for me. That night I sat alone in the apartment. Lights off. The city glowed through the window. My phone buzzed once. A message. "It's done." No signature. I exhaled. The trial followed months later. I attended every day. I didn't stare at Ethan. I didn't need to. When the verdict was read, I felt no triumph. Only release. Outside the courthouse, a reporter asked how I felt. I thought for a moment. "I feel finished," I said. The final step came quietly. I met Ethan once more. Across a table. Glass between us. He looked smaller, thinner. "I'm sorry," he said. I believed he meant it. That didn't change anything. I forgave you, I said. Long ago. Hope flickered in his eyes. But forgiveness doesn't restore trust, I added. I slid a document across the table. The company. Transferred. Not to him. To Claire. He read it slowly, hands trembling. You're giving her everything? I already did, I said. Months ago. He swallowed. And me. I stood. You chose, I said gently. So did I. I turned and walked out. Didn't look back. Outside, the air was warm, real. Claire waited by the car, arms folded, tired smile. It's over, she said softly. Yes, I replied. And in that silence, I finally felt free. The mornings are quiet again now, not the fragile kind of quiet I once feared, but the steady kind. The kind that stays. I still wake up early. Old habits linger. I make coffee. 1 cup this time. And I sit by the window as the city wakes on its own. Nothing asks anything of me anymore. People still ask if it was worth it, if losing a son breaks a man beyond repair. I sit with that question longer than they expect. I didn't lose him to prison. I lost him to a choice. A choice he made long before any bars closed behind him. What I learned, slowly, painfully, is this. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by loyalty, especially when it costs something. For 2 years, Claire carried a burden I never knew about. She walked into rooms smiling and walked out with evidence hidden in her bag. She gave up comfort, friendships, peace of mind, all to protect her father's name. That kind of love doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. It works quietly, just like justice. People call what I did revenge. That word never sat right with me. Revenge is loud, messy, driven by anger. What I did was wait. I waited until truth had weight, until silence became leverage. My son framed me, so I took back everything without raising my voice. I didn't shout. I didn't humiliate. I simply stood where I always belonged and let the truth speak for itself. These days, I sleep well. That's how I know I did the right thing. Not because I won, but because I can live with the man in the mirror again. If there's one thing I hope you carry with you from my story, it's this. Patience isn't weakness. Dignity isn't surrender. And respect, once lost, can be reclaimed if you wait for the right moment. Some endings don't come with applause. They come with peace. And that is enough. Would you have done the same if it were you? Tell me in the comments. And if stories like this speak to you, stay with me and subscribe.